Hello and welcome to Monday Night Live. It is I, Alex McCarthy, being flanked by SB3, the truest heel heat you could ever wish to bring. Here he is in the house. What's going on, man? You good?
I am good, Alex. I'm finally in the right time zone and
Yeah.
I have adapted to the difference in time. It's been a crazy week in wrestling, a lot going on, whether it be in WWE with honorary ooses and white rabbits, or if it's in AEW with more backstage drama and people trying to exodus. It's a good week to be here from Monday Night Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And remember to drop that thumbs up on the video and share your thoughts in the live chat, in the comments, on demand. Have a good time here on a Monday with me and AMAC, my
You
brother
know,
from an Irish mother.
you know how it goes. Man, ITR Clips. This is the channel. This is our home. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe, as our esteemed host SB3 told you to. Do support us. Of course, ITR Tips, Super Chat, however you want to interact with the show, you can do that. You can have your say. We love to talk wrestling here. So please join us and let us hear from you. But today, we're going to be talking about all of the swirling reports in the wrestling world. You know, are there AEW stars that perhaps want to come home? Have WWE been reaching out to AEW stars under contract? The short answer is it seems like yes, but we're going to dive into this, see who wants to come home, who doesn't, the state of play, basically, because it wasn't that long ago. It was about a year ago, I would say. The Metropolis was completely one way, right? It was WWE stars exiting for greener pastures, as it were. AEW looked like the uh, the place to be. Frankly, good money, work 1 or 2 days a week. They had all of the hot hand. The show was on fire. And at the time, we asked ourselves, SP3, are they signing too many stars? But as we asked that question, it is worth remembering that, and I am very much on this team. I was like, you can't have too much good talent, right? I still believe that now, for the most part. And I remember Eddie Kingston in an interview with me said, "Well, you know what? You sign good talent, and that will squeeze up the quality of your show, and those that don't want to go with it will fall by the wayside." Now, there are some names that we perhaps didn't think would be falling by the wayside that potentially are, but let's be honest, SB3. The main domino to fall here is Vince McMahon. It's the fact that Triple H is back in power in WWE that suddenly these people who were treated so well by Triple H in NXT are thinking to themselves, that main roster run that I didn't trust in Vince McMahon's hands, I think I might want to give it a go under Triple H. Would you? I mean, you have to say, unless you have a contrary opinion, that seems to be the main factor in play here. And that's maybe the number one consideration of all of these reports we're about to get into of will they and won't they?
Oh, most definitely. Vince McMahon leaving the WWE has become a huge factor when it comes to where people want to be or where they think their future is going to be best suited. Vince McMahon leaving and Triple H being in charge has kind of changed the landscape, especially for people that just left WWE or just was released from WWE a year ago. It seems to be a big difference maker, but there's other aspects at play with each person that we're probably going to discuss throughout this show. And I don't think that the issue with AEW is having that many great talent on their show. They do have an issue of having a bloated roster, but the reason they have a bloated roster is because they don't have as much time to contribute to those guys. If they had 5 to 6 to 7 hours of television like WWE has, I don't think we would be saying that they have a bloated roster. And I don't think a lot of the guys that are feeling a little disgruntled or frustrated with the amount of time or the amount of matches that they've been given in AEW would have that same issue if they had more TV time. But having 3 hours of TV time and 130 at least contracted talent, that's just too much.
Yeah, it's all relative, exactly like you just said. If you've got a 3-hour show right, then you need a roster that can fit those demands. And you don't want to just put the same stuff out each week. So you basically need more people than the show warrants on any given night. It is a difficult position to be in. And there are only a few people who are guarantees, right? When you're writing out the show, it's like, okay, well, you need to get Kenny or the Bucks. I know it's a bad example right now because they're suspended. Although apparently it was a 2-week suspension, so I don't know. Maybe they're back this week. Who knows? But you know, Danielson, Moxley, there are people that, you know, when you're mapping the show out, they are on it, right? And then you've got the other people that are, you know, are fighting for TV time. We don't always see Ricky Starks, but we should, right? We want to. You know, the same thing as when AEW were, you know, linked to or did sign a Buddy Matthews. You know, if he's on the market, do you not sign Buddy Matthews? I think you do, right? And the same as Aleister Black, same as Miro, you know, a host of Andrade as well. Like there are a host of them that I think, man, if they're there, how do you not go and get them? Keith Lee as well, Swerve. Like there is a lot, right? And some of them have been having, you know, good runs. And you could say prior to his injury, Miro was, right? You could say that Swerve and Our Glory's just had a great run, I think, personally.
Agreed.
And then you've got Andrade, right? Who, for all of his upside and talent, it's a horrible storyline to put in the beginning with Matt Hardy. Just horrible. Like Matt Hardy's faction was terrible anyway. I love Matt Hardy, but come on, that faction wasn't good. Andrade gets partnered with that. You know, and you just start going, give the guy a chance. You know,
you didn't even talk about the first thing when they couldn't decide which Guerrero they wanted to put in his corner between Vicky and Chavo. Then it was the him and Pac feud where the match kept getting, you know, postponed due to his schedule and Pac's schedule. Then they had killer matches with each other, and then kind of never went anywhere. They went 1-1 in their singles matches against each other, and then they never even had the blow off match.
A-Shock makes the point here. Ricky's been on every week at least for now. I mean, that's actually a weird sentence, but I know what you're trying to say. He has been on it recently since the split.
Since the whole story they set up for the split.
When he was FTR.
Well, no, I would say since the whole Swerve and Our Glory feud started, because either he's been on Dynamite or Rampage every week since Swerve came in March.
Yeah, pretty much. And I know he had injury problems before that, but there were still weeks where all you might get, you know, you might just see like a vignette with him and Hobbs. And again, this goes to Swerve as well. Like I'm saying, if you're him, you want more than that. I mean, I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying that's a very small role for somebody with big time talent. And there's loads of people like that across the board in AEW. So it is very hard to fit all those people on TV. But I've always been an admirer of the roster that Tony Khan put together. I felt like that was a roster in the eyes of like what I want to see as a fan. Has a great mix. It just obviously has become hard to placate all of them because you got to remember when they sign like a Malachi Black, for instance, right? Or well, I think Miro was the first one, okay, and then they had him with the gamer gimmick with Kip Sabian, but that was kind of like because they had already had the rest of the card mapped out, so you can't just crowbar him in, and they kind of had to keep him busy until the Redeemer became a thing. But okay, so you sign him, that's a big deal, and then you get, I think Andrade was next, and then you're like, okay, that's a big deal. And then you get Malachi Black, and it's like, that's a big deal. But it's like, there's only so many spots at the top of the card, right? Yeah. And they're signing Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson almost, basically a year ago. And it's like, I mean, they jettison above most people in star power. So immediately, these people that when you brought them in was a huge deal, all of a sudden they're kind of finding themselves in different parts of the card, right? And it's not quite what they thought it was when they signed. And then that becomes a difficult job for Tony Khan. I do understand it. Let's go through some of the reports that we've seen out there. this week. And later on in the show, guys, we are going to talk WWE. There'll be some Sami Zayn chat because I am loving everything to do with that man right now. We will also talk White Rabbit and all things attached to that. But SB3, you're going to have to be on your game here for reports, brother. Now, one of them that came out, and I don't know if this is PW Insider or Meltzer. I would have to check, but I'm hoping you'll know. They were saying the people that were more willing to come back to WWE are those with partners, right? So Miro wasn't actually listed. They said he's happy. He doesn't need to come home. I don't think he was ever really a Triple H guy. He had a bit of a time in WWE, but I wouldn't say, in NXT, but I wouldn't say he was Triple H guy. But people with partners, let's go down the list. Malachi Black, of course, is with Zelina Vega. I don't actually know if this is true or not. Feel free to enlighten me, but somebody, Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews?
Yes, they go out with each other.
Okay, so I've seen them working out together and stuff, and I asked Rhea about it in Cardiff, but I didn't, I was just like talking about the workouts rather than, are you together? So okay, cool. That's another one. So that basically that's our two main ones, right?
Yeah. Well, basically it was Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer.
And hold up, Andrade and Charlotte. How could we forget?
Yes. Andrade is more of a one that's kind of an outlier. I think that people are connecting more of the Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black because of their connection in the House of Black, and as well as Buddy Matthews basically alluding that he was kind of echoing what Malachi Black was saying because he appeared on, believe the name of the promotion was Fight Pro Wrestling in Rhode Island over the weekend, where he basically said that he needed time away to recalibrate, and that similar to his brother Malachi, he needed that time away to kind of regroup, but it's not going to be goodbye, it's going to be a see you soon. And then that's when reports started coming out from Fightful Select that Buddy Matthews could be gone from AEW for a while. And then according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, he said both Matthews and Black want to go to WWE and wanted to leave AEW. He confirmed that Matthews is indeed gone from the company, and both Black and Matthews have significant others in WWE, which has led to the rumor that people with significant others in AEW would like to leave to go back to WWE now, because Black is with Vega, Matthews is with Rhea Ripley, and Andrade is married to Charlotte Flair. The Andrade part of this has to do with a lot of the stuff that's been on social media over the last couple of months. He's liked some tweets about, his booking not being, the best in AEW. And he also today put up a tweet of just like an hourglass ticking away. So is that alluding to time left on his contract before he goes back to WWE? I don't know what it's alluding to, but it's very interesting timing on that. And I would say out of all these guys, Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, Andrade, I would say Andrade was the one that I can 100% say AEW did not do right by him. They didn't seem like they knew what they were doing. They didn't seem like they had a plan. At least with Malachi Black, he had the big memorable debut, kicking Cody in the face, the good feud with Cody. Then he forms the House of Black at the beginning of the year, brings in Brody King, brings in Buddy Matthews. The Death Triangle feud, that was kind of just them running on a treadmill for like 6 months. But then he was able to, the stuff with Sting and Darby, I thought was really good, really great stuff that they did up until, All Out, and even the stuff that they did at AEW Rampage Grand Slam, that was good. They could have done more with Buddy Matthews as a single star, but he just signed with the company in February. Yeah, I because of the Miro template that they created, it takes them a while to kind of to put someone into the flow and really find a role for them. So they could have done more with Buddy Matthews, but 100%, Andrade's been there for 18 months. They should have done more with him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You look at the Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black. I've enjoyed what they've done. It's just that I guess they expected more. And when the House of Black became something, I think a lot of us expected to learn more about the House of Black. But do any of us really know what the House of Black does? Not really. You know, it's cool, but it's pretty vague. You know, I really enjoyed the Brody King stuff with Darby Allin. Like, there's been lots of good stuff. It's not that. It's just I can understand the feeling of like it hasn't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, another rumor that I heard was that Black and Matthews wanted like the House of Black to do like a lot of like the promos we were seeing like in the dark room and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Whereas Tony wanted to keep it more of them being like this silent, mysterious threat among the roster. So either way could work. I know there was some people that I've seen online that were like they're not the best talkers, so they prefer the Tony way. And I've seen the people that say that they loved the promos that they were given, the little vignettes that they did, and I'm one of those people. I love that stuff, especially like
I,
how it's shot with them with the darkness and then coming into the light and stuff
I
like
don't
that. So
I
I
don't
like that
think
stuff.
Black's a bad talker by any stretch. You know, I guess, you know, it's opinions. But either way, that's kind of the state of play on things. We will get to some more names in a minute. I just want to address some of the comments in the chat. So Stu says, why is Sat not able to join? He doesn't seem to work on Monday nights for Wrestle Talk unless I'm missing something. Stu, the only thing you are missing, my friend, is that he's exclusive to Wrestle Talk now. So, you know, it's for Sat to kind of relay his own details. But ostensibly speaking, on YouTube, the only place he can host is Wrestle Talk. We support our brother here 1000%. He's going to do great things. You just watch. I think you see him a lot on Saturdays at the moment. But he's staying busy and he's one crazy talented man. So make sure you support our brother Sat. What else have we got going on here? I saw a couple that I wanted to get into. Charlotte has not been on WWE TV for months, anyways. No, but apparently today she's been booked. She has been booked for a show. I didn't actually click the link, which I probably should have done, but it was on Twitter, and I'm going to find it now, just so I don't look stupid. Unless, of course, in the event I'm trying to find it and I can't, I then look stupid. But yeah, they said that she'd been booked for an upcoming WWE event. Inside the Ropes website. Where else would you go for it? Let's have a look. New York, November 12th. Charlotte is going to be at the show. So, I mean, November. It's only like what 6 weeks away now, really.
Yeah.
And she's been out a long time, of course. You know, only a little bit after WrestleMania. She did the return match with Ronda Rousey. I'm not going to do the whole WrestleMania backlash malarkey, but that's what happened. And she's been off ever since. So it'd be cool to have her back. But anyway, that's the point of addressing that comment. She is on the way. Maybe that will accelerate things. Who knows? I do want to bring this up. Bobby Fish has turned up in
Oh
Impact.
man, we need to do a new segment every week. Who taking the biggest L for the week? And the honorary first winner of the biggest L of the week is Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish, you seem like such a nice guy. You seem I've been following your career since Ring of Honor, but I'm sorry. Between your salty interviews, well, no, let's go back. Let's go back a few weeks. Between your slobbing interviews, talking about Triple H, I love Triple H. He's so great. I would love to work. I'd love to work for him. Then your bitter interviews talking about CM Punk, and then the report. I think it was it Wrestling Observer? I believe it was Ryan Frederick of Wrestling Observer. Yes. Ryan Frederick of Wrestling Observer put on the forum over the week that Bobby Fish had asked Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly to ask for their release from AEW so they could all go back to WWE as Undisputed Era, and they told him no, they're happy with AEW.
I mean, if I was Adam Cole, I would be happy. Right?
What does Adam Cole have to complain about?
Good spot.
I've been in title programs.
His missus is there. Your man's got it going good over there. Don't get me wrong. I reckon one day they probably will. Right? You know how it's cyclical the wrestling world is, but I don't see why you would right now. Yeah, again, who knows? But Bobby Fish, seemingly with nowhere else to go, ended up turning up in the Impact Zone. Yeah, in front of, I don't know, 20 people or whatever it was. But
they had like a few hundred people. It was a good show. Victory Road. Probably the most notable thing was Bobby Fish showing up and kind of cutting this passive aggressive type of promo, saying that he's too old, he's been around too long, he doesn't like dealing with BS, so
he's
that's
too
why he's
long in the
here in
He's too long
Impact.
in the tooth. I'm telling you, he's too long in the tooth. I must admit, so I've only seen like the clips of him coming down. Obviously, doesn't look great, but I haven't watched Impact properly. So when I was covering wrestling like full time, I would go out of my way to have like a little schedule, right, of like
Yeah,
the main shows I need to watch. And I used to get interviews, WWE, AEW, Impact. So I was like, okay, I need to stay up on what's going on there. And then you would send me stuff sometimes on what I need to see from New Japan or Stardom. And I would just do like isolated matches from Japan. I've seldom sat there and watched the whole show. Maybe a G1 or Wrestle Kingdoms.
yeah.
But seldom will you go, oh, and there was this great match from the, whatever. I'll just watch that match. Right. Now, seriously, I'm lucky if I can fit in all of WWE and AEW in a week. And if I have to, Dynamite is like a priority, and it's easier because it's just 2 hours.
Yeah.
Raw.
And it's that's the show for person who has ADD or doesn't have like a long attention span, because there's something going on AEW always.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then probably SmackDown's my next priority because I'm normally off on the Saturday, so I can catch that. But Raw's just too long. I don't have, even if I fast forward through the breaks, like what is it? It's still over like 2 pure hours. Yeah, to sit there, and I just don't have that time, man. I just don't. So I read the results and then I go, oh, that looks cool, and I watch like a YouTube clip of whatever happened. So I am watching less wrestling, which is annoying, but I catch all the pay-per-views and all that good stuff. Anyway, back to the point, right? So people in WWE who may decide to return home to Triple H. Now, there are several ex-WWE alumni there. Tony Storm, okay, she's having a great time right now.
Well, we should also note the other half of this kind of story, because he started really with the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and then Fightful and other platforms kind of came out with their own reports. But the Wrestling Observer newsletter kind of specified that Malachi Black was one of the talents contacted by WWE in recent weeks prior to AEW sending WWE a legal notice about tampering. The belief is that Black's conditional release allows him to work for independent promotions, but a non-compete for WWE for some time. When Triple H took over, WWE contacted several former talents in AEW. Black was not the only wrestler to ask for his release. Other talent didn't ask for a release, as they are happy with AEW and contacted AEW management. So we do know now that Swerve Strickland, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler all were called by WWE. We do also know that reportedly, according to Ryan Frederick's report, when he talked about the Bobby Fish part of this, Adam Cole was the snitch. Adam Cole was the one went back to Tony Khan when Bobby Fish tried to snake him and tell him to ask for your release so we can go back to WWE. And Adam was like, nah, me, Britt, and Tony, we have Sunday dinner together.
Good.
We good. We good. We should also note the Fightful Select part of this, that according to WWE sources, the previously reported Malachi Black had indicated to contacts in WWE that he wished that he was still there. There were those in management at AEW that believed Black wanted to go back to the company, and some higher ups who were of the if they want to go, let them mind state. The report notes that a source in WWE said that they'd heard about feelers being sent out to FTR, who WWE tried to re-sign several times before they went to AEW, and the two have a while left on their AEW deals. And Swerve Strickland was also a name that is known within AEW to have been contacted by WWE, which makes a whole world of sense. You bring him back Hit Row, you better hit up Beyonce. You hit up Destiny's Child, you gotta hit up Beyonce. You don't say Michelle Williams and Kelly Rowland. Come on down to the big stage. No, you gotta call Beyonce too. And then finally,
Poor Michelle.
Finally, an AEW source said that WWE had reached out in August to someone who had been with AEW from the start. There's no details on who that is, but people would be surprised to know who it was. That person, I'm gonna number it down. I think it's either Jungle Boy, Darby, or Sammy.
Oh, wait. So you think that's why people would be surprised because it's a pillar?
It's a pillar and it's a small dude. This goes against two of the things that WWE.
Right. It'd be too obvious if it was MJF, right? Like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, so yeah.
And it'd be too obvious if it's Jericho too.
Jericho we're taking all of this at face value, right? Like, you know, let's stipulate these are reports. But Triple H has been aggressive, like that's undeniable. He's, you know, all of the people he's picked up basically anyone and everyone that he wants to. And now we've got to the stage where he's like, what about the people that I can't get? Do you think this is going to be a two-parter? Do you think that AEW are of the mind to say, if you don't want to be here, go? Right?
AEW or WWE?
AEW. If a talent comes to them and says, you know what, I want out. Do you think that across the board? So think carefully about your answer here. They've let Malachi go, but he said mental health and all of this stuff. That's a different. You could argue that's a different case. He hasn't said I want to go back to WWE or I want to do whatever. Would they just say to anyone who doesn't want to be there, sure, go? And two-parter, would they let CM Punk go? Do you think he is going?
So to answer the first part, would they? Yes, they would. I feel like AEW has the type of mindset that if they say it with one person and they say we're going to say this with anybody that wants to go, I think they would stand by that. Should they? No, hell no. Someone signs a contract. The whole reason you get them to sign a contract, Malachi Black, the whole reason I asked you to sign a 5-year contract last year is that just in case Vince McMahon has some skeleton in his closet and you wanted to go back, you couldn't go back. And now that's why like this is all me going by the reports and the breadcrumbs and everything from the moment of jump that the report came out that Malachi Black asked for his release and the reason why demoralized with how he's been using the company. I was just like, that's mad suspicious, yo. That's mad. I'm sorry. Like, that's like me working with someone who's a Yankees fan and the Yankees about to be in the playoffs. And then I got to go to work on that day. And then that person calls out from work. He calls out from work and ain't answering his call at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern time. He's probably at the game. He's probably at the game. That's what it sounded like to me, is that Malachi Black, just the timing of everything, it sounded like he was like, oh man, like that old thing back. It looked pretty good now. It lost a little bit of weight. Got new hair color. I think I want to go back over there. So I'm gonna tell my employer I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. I gotta go home. Yeah, I gotta go. I can't be here anymore. It don't sound right. And I don't like how that feels. Like, if that's what Jeff Hardy did with WWE to AEW, I don't like that either. I don't like how any of that sounds or feels. But as far as the CM Punk part of this, I think the CM Punk part of this, there's going to be legal ramifications for years, regardless of how this turns out. If this is a split and we don't see CM Punk back in the AEW ring, I think we'll be talking about CM Punk versus AEW in a courtroom for years to come.
which sucks. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it couldn't have happened with more, implicated people, because obviously you got the execs with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. I mean, Ace Steel is kind of like just a part of the ride, but CM Punk is the main featured player, your world champion. If they don't somehow make money out of this, right, that would be the smart play. That they manage to figure this out. They come back, they come to their senses, they go, you know what? I was frustrated. Things were being said. I had to get off my chest. I acted unprofessionally. I think there's all things CM Punk may feel or want to say down the line. The Bucks and Kenny must say, you know what? I think we took it to heart too. We didn't like what you were saying. Things got heated. Let's just, settle down here and let's make some money and do good business. And it could set their promotion on fire. To be honest, Omega and Punk anyway.
Most
but
definitely.
with legit heat.
Yes.
Whoa,
give me Omega versus Punk. Give me Punk and FTR versus Omega and the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Like you got money, so many different ways to go about it.
Money, right? And it would be insane to think that they would leave that on the table. But the longer we don't hear things, the more concerning I think it is, right? That there are legal things in play. I mean, the EVPs turn up with they had the head of HR, right, or a lawyer with them.
The chief legal officer of the company.
I mean, as far as witnesses go, I suppose
this is another one that sounds suspicious. CM Punk. First of all, you say they kicked down the door, they barged in. First of all, it didn't sound right from jump, because why would they do that? Because that's just going to start a fight. Young Bucks don't even seem like they don't seem like they live that life. They don't seem like they live that life. Two, why would they do it with the chief legal officer right by their side?
Yeah, to kill themselves.
Yeah, and I think the Young Bucks, where they turned out wrong in this situation, where they went wrong was not listening to what Punk actually said. Because from the reports, Fightful Select did an excellent job of the note by note, beat by beat of this entire situation, and they said that the Young Bucks were told CM Punk said some things about the EVPs, and then that's when they went to, the chief legal officer to go to Punk's locker room. If they had listened to what Punk had to say, they would have known this is not probably the right time to go address this. Maybe we should wait till Wednesday. Cooler heads prevail. Yeah. But they just heard.
That's easier said than done, man.
Yeah,
you've been in them situations. That's easier said than done, right? Like, you're there, somebody's talking some shit. I mean, like, I got to tell you, I know we've spoken about this a little bit, and we're kind of going off course, but man, he put Tony in a bad position, right? Like, just the way he was going off and talking about this man's company to the masses as its champion. Whoo, like, it's just, what was Tony meant to do? I felt really sorry for him. Like, and I know that everyone's got their own thoughts. Okay, and everyone's got their own critiques, and he should have done this or should have done that. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like situation management, it's pretty unprecedented. I can't think of an example like that in pro wrestling. He's not someone to chuck his champion under the bus, but at the same time, he probably wants to like tap on the leg and go, whoa, rein this in. Like, it was one thing to get your Colt Cabana thing off your chest, right? Okay, I understand it's out there, but whoa, there's a whole lot of other shit going on right now, right? The people don't want to listen to what your advice, and the EVP's like, whoa, okay. And again, I understand when you're Punk, you got to let it go, right? It's been eating him. He hasn't said anything. He probably shouldn't have let it fester like that, but obviously, whatever happens. What do we know? It's all combined for this horrible cocktail that could leave the company in a really difficult spot. Like, the only reason I bring all of that up to relate it to what we were talking about earlier, we could be in a position where AEW, and one of the most glorious rosters in recent memory for me, it could be absolutely annihilated if you get a lot of these people that want to go back to WWE and they actually go through with it. AEW have set the precedent where they say 5 years, doesn't matter. You want to go, right? You've got that. You've got Punk potentially never working there again. how do you take the EVPs back, or work in that capacity? Don't forget we had the reports that were denied, but Young Bucks spoke to somebody in WWE. I for where AEW got to me, it's just kind of like, it was such a refreshing, awesome thing that I feel this is the first real turbulence that Tony Khan's going through. And honestly, the next few months are going to tell us so much, SP3, about the direction of the company moving forward. The only amazing thing Tony has managed to do in this period is get MJF back. And to do that, if this didn't tell you had Tony by the balls, I don't know what will. He signed no extension, but he got a big raise. Come on, that position was unfathomable a few months ago. That was like, nope, not doing it. He is now.
Yeah, I mean, people got to realize WCW. I think people get the picture of like what happened with WCW from the WWE point of view, which is because winners write the history books. That's just how it is. But in actuality, WCW had a lot of bad years of backstage turmoil, of losing money, of people wanting to leave to go to WWF before things really hit the fan. Before it even had its most successful years of 1996, 1997, 1998. They had 1993 and 1994 and 1995. Those 3 consecutive years had a lot of drama before they got to the success of 96 through 98. So we could go into 2023 and AEW could have their most successful year yet, coming off of all this drama, if they're able to kind of ride the ship and get it back steering in the right direction. They could step up to the competition that WWE is creating for them underneath Triple H. Or
the pieces are there. The pieces are there.
Or this year could be 1998 for WCW, where yes, they were successful. Yes, they were making money, which AEW is doing all of that. That's not the issue. Any of the issues that we were talking about with AEW has nothing to do with their money drawn for ticket sales. Ratings is really good right now. They've gone 4 or 5 straight weeks with over 1 million in the ratings due to people wanting to watch, due to what's going on TV and behind the scenes. It's caused people to want to watch. It's raised it, especially for the adult males. The 18 to 49 demo hasn't been raised, but this, the adult males, I guess, is like, man, this feels like the Attitude Era again. There's so much drama. I want to watch this show again, it seems like. So as far as everything business-wise, they're doing well. It's just the perception of the world of wrestling, where at the end of 2021, AEW was the hot girl summer. That was the one everybody wanted to go to and work for. Now it's turned around where WWE is now the one doing successful, and it's doing successful all across the board, whether it's ratings, whether it's ticket sales, whether it's locker room morale. And that's the big one that AEW is not doing really well in. And locker room morale, yes, over the last couple of weeks, they've done better, but this is the most drama and the most serious situation that Tony Khan and AEW has faced. They faced a year pretty much of locker room, backstage drama, starting from the minute, the whole MJF situation, and then, trickling down to this big one with CM Punk. So if they can overcome this, I think they can have a very successful 2023, which is probably the most important year of their existence, because this is going to determine their new TV contract. So it's very interesting times when it comes to AEW. So I understand, as far as like people paying attention to them, 1 million viewers and stuff, I understand why that's going on, because it's probably the most important time, because this is before the biggest year of their existence.
Yeah. Everything you said there, it's hard to argue with. It kind of does trickle down. MJF and all of that, the stalemate contract wise. I see a few comments in the chat saying, MJF didn't get an extension. He got a raise. He claims he signs no extension, but he could be lying. Just to be clear, and this is what I said earlier, he was given a bump in pay, believed to be over $1 million. He hasn't signed any additional time to his contract, which would still be up New Year's Day 2024. If you're asking me, what do I believe? Could he be lying? No, I believe he still will be a free agent on the 1st of January 2024. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But one thing I took as sincere remarks from him was it would be very smart to have a free agent bidding war come beginning of 2024. What were they going to do? Let him sit at home until then? So I think they had to work out what they did. Timing was everything with the chaos that's ensuing. And I just think he's got himself into an even more powerful position, and he's been crushing it since he came back as well. So that's the perfect storm in terms of AEW. But again, there's a lot of things that need to fall into place now. And we've talked about this on other shows. You can go back and see it. The women fighting backstage, of course, the original Hangman and Punk problems that, are deep rooted in. There's just been a few things that are far from ideal. But Tony does seem to have tried to put an infrastructure in place that will hopefully prevent this happening moving forward. We're talking Jonathan Gresham and him walking and all of these things, man. Like it just hasn't been a smooth sailing. But as you grow, I guess that will happen.
And yeah, I said MJF. It all started with like locker room drama getting out and leaking out. I think the first drama node to really drop and change kind of the perception of the wrestling world was Cody leaving and going to WWE, because that changed everything.
Even when the reports came, a lot of us were like, for real? Right? Now it seems to make all the sense in the world, right? Now that you've seen it happen and you've heard from the man himself, but like this aura that AEW had, it was just like the salvation. Because you've got to remember, I know WWE's in the Triple H light now, but for a long time it's been like it still is in some ways, like the evil corporation, right? Vince McMahon's horrible machine that works wrestlers to death and he'll cut you in a moment's notice. But AEW was like the anti that, right? It was like the place where you could go and you won't be released. You will work your contract down and, you will be given a chance on TV. And there are great examples of that, like 2.0, of course, are now in the Jericho Appreciation Society. Like there are examples of it working great. It's just the bigger it's got, I think maybe it was underestimated how difficult it would be to navigate all of those stars and, the roster. Obviously lessons will be learned as we go. But let's turn our attention to WWE right now. We've got about 10 minutes left here before I want to go watch England. That's why this show will be cut short. SB3, what do you think about White Rabbit? So everyone thought last Friday was going to be like the grand reveal. I think common sense tells us probably Extreme Rules is going to be the grand reveal. But what do you make of what we've seen thus far? And the report today I saw that it's not Bray Wyatt. It's going to be somebody that nobody's talking about, to quote Triple H.
Wait, Triple H said this? He said it's going to be someone.
I will find it for you.
Oh, please do, because this would be the massive. There's another instinct of Triple H, and he did this with the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament. If he does this, giving us the predictable thing is the good thing. Don't give us something because you think I'm gonna swerve everybody, because your dad did that for years and it pissed us off.
What could he have up his sleeve? That would be better than that. Do you know, like it?
If you got it. It hit me. It just hit me, Alex.
What is it? Don't say it.
He talked about it with you. He said he was going to talk to the biggest star in social media, in media in general. It's a White Rabbit. Everybody's saying White Rabbit. Oh, who's the White Rabbit? But the third. It's not a White Rabbit. It's a bunny. It's a bad bunny. It's a bad bunny.
He's back.
The return of Bad Bunny. He gonna come out with a remix of White Rabbit. He sampled White Rabbit. That's what he's leading to. He sampled White Rabbit. He's got a new theme song called White Rabbit. It's gonna be on his album called Get That Carrot. And oh man, it's gonna be lit.
Right. I don't want to use this as a source because Zero News is actually terrible.
They are.
But he did so. It was on the Ring of Wrestling show that Triple H had gone on record and stated that the person behind White Rabbit phenomenon is somebody nobody is talking about. That's the quote. I'm trying to find. I don't want to do it from there. I'm looking.
because automatically it being on Zero News makes me feel like that's not true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not their news, but they are quoting it, right? I'm just scouring Twitter. What are you talking about? I saw it earlier, and it wasn't that account where I saw it earlier.
Well, to give my perspective while you look that up on this whole White Rabbit thing, I think this is brilliant, and it's a credit and definitely a worthy of praise for the Triple H regime. The fact that he's created this much buzz for something that they haven't devoted zero TV time to. They put it in the back of segments that they were already doing, and it makes people feel, rewarded for paying attention. These little QR codes, what it's leading to, you have the 923 in the first one that brought us to SmackDown. Then you got the QR code backstage with the Hit Row and Street Profits segment, and that leads you to the maze that gives you the coordinates to this Monday's Raw. So I love that, all that type of stuff. It's a great mystery. I love these like little vignettes that they've done throughout, WWE history, whether it's the countdown to the millennium, Save Us, all that great stuff. This is all the stuff that I enjoy about wrestling. The third Chris Jericho one though is underrated. The one with it seemed like the Undertaker or somebody was coming back, and then he came back with the whole silent gimmick. That's all. That was the awesome vignette series. But this one I feel is going to be very strong if they pay it off properly.
I keep seeing people talking about the quote, but I can't find the actual origin of the quote, which leads me to believe I'm saying no. I don't want to perpetuate something that might not be true.
It's Bad Bunny, y'all.
Well, you heard it here first. It's Bad Bunny. Man, even though he could just be swerving everyone, even if he did say that, right? No one's talking about Bray Wyatt. Yes, they are. Anyway, who do you? I mean, we've said it now. I'm not going to ask you who you think it is. It's Bad Bunny. But it could be Bray. Who knows what the destination of this is? I love a cryptic vignette. I know SP3 was just talking about this. One of the best and first ones I can ever remember was Jericho's debut, the countdown clock.
To the Manila.
I had seen WCW at this time, but I was not a smart fan by any stretch of imagination. I had no idea it was Jericho. None. I didn't know his contract was up. I knew nothing, right? Because I wasn't on the forums or like that. I was 11 years old.
I believe I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't into like the internet wrestling community at that time. No. So yeah, it was a big surprise. But once the name Jericho came on the screen,
I was like, oh, yeah. That's what I mean. I get it. I was a Jericho fan, but I wasn't like, when the name popped up and then he walked out, I was like, oh, there he is. And I popped big for it. But also I heard the fans chanting Jericho, and I thought, really? Anyway, super cool. I had no idea until the actual reveal what was going on. Those are the best. But either way, I'd love to see Bray back in the business. Let's talk about Sammy while we close it here. SP3, some people have called the opening of SmackDown the best TV segment of the year. I've seen it. I've seen it on Twitter. Is it at least the best WWE TV segment of the year?
It might be. It's
up there.
It's up there. Everyone performed to a T, and they literally gave you a bunch of little one-liners or one-off lines that can be paid off in the future. Like when Paul Heyman talked about that Solo Sikoa was sent to the bloodlines by the elders. And that it wasn't Roman, it wasn't Paul Heyman, it wasn't the Usos, it was the elders that sent Solo Sikoa. And then the little tease of tension between Solo and Roman when Roman told him to acknowledge it. Me. Like, and he says, the elders are not in charge, I'm in charge here. Where you could, I basically saw it in that moment. I was like, oh shit, So Roman loses the Undisputed Championship, and the Elders tell Solo and the Usos to jump Roman. That's how you turn Roman Reigns a babyface. That's basically all we're doing. We're only continuing this whole heel run for him to complete this title run, and then when he loses the title, he's going to be a babyface. So they with that one line, I saw that vision of the future, and then the Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Roman Reigns, all three of them were on top form with the second half of this, with Sami Zayn's plea saying that he wants to acknowledge Roman, and then Roman saying like, why are you talking? What are you doing here? Why are you hanging around us? Why are you wearing that bloodline shirt? Take off the shirt. Take off the shirt. Jay, take off the shirt. Then Jay just ripping it off. And then the little subtlety of Roman just saying, you're not going to wear that shirt anymore because I got you your own. And then the slow reveal by Sami was just on point. And then Jey Uso was just the cherry on top with his reaction to everything. Like, he's just a hater. He's just on his hating. Like, if you are a Power fan, the best comparison to Jey Uso in this story is Kane from Power Book 2 Ghost. Kane is always hating on Tariq. That's exactly how Jey Uso is with Sami Zayn.
Good, I like Kane. Fuck Tariq. I'm still fuck Tariq. Forever fuck Tariq.
Or if you want an older Power reference, it's basically Sami Zayn is Ghost and Jey Uso is Kanan.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah. Ghost was nice as fuck to Kanan's face. Listen, and then fuck that guy. Right, man. I mean, for me, Sami, like, you hear the crowd reactions, right? When Sami's there now, they are hot for Sami.
Yes.
Like, they can feel it bubbling. I'm at the point where I'm like, maybe Sami's the guy. Maybe he is the guy. I don't think that was originally the intention. But I think here we are. The crowd are super into Sami Zayn. Put it on him, right? Like, okay. If The Rock's there, if that's there, okay, I understand where we're going, what we're doing. But still, there's a way you could pay this off with Sami Zayn becoming a huge, huge, huge babyface. Hopefully with Kevin Owens as part of the package. He goes on, wins the title. Amazing moment. Everyone goes mental.
I think they set the stage for like just that one segment also kind of showed you how violent and how like sad the breakup when they finally do turn.
Everyone's gonna be like, no.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be so upset. It's gonna be on the same level of Kevin Owens turning on Jericho in the Festival of Friendship. That's what it's gonna be like, and I think that's gonna lead to Owens and Zayn versus the Usos at WrestleMania. I think they have to keep this storyline together, keep it going, especially because you can give us a 5-on-5 war games. They've never done that. 5-on-5 war games. Give us that with the whole bloodline versus a team of baby faces. And then you could slow burn it from there. The more tension between Zayn and Uso up until you get to WrestleMania.
Yeah, man. The possibilities are amazing because Cody sounds like he's looking to come back in January. Right, Royal Rumble season. Maybe he wins the Rumble. Maybe you've got a concoction of Cody and Rollins competing for Reigns' titles on one of the nights. You got Rock the other night. You got Sami and Kevin. Like, that would be a huge babyface team. I can't stress this enough. The breakup of the bloodline, or Sami kicked out of the bloodline, could be huge, huge business, right?
Yeah.
But really, the big payoff of that is ideally Sami beats Roman at some stage. So I don't know exactly how you get there, but there are so many possibilities for WWE. And then the cream of it all will be when Roman finally does drop the belt or whatever happens, and he turns his back on people and he becomes the big baby face. It's going to be gangbusters. Like, I don't know if it's going to be exactly like The Rock when he went from heel to face, but it's going to be similar. The roofs will be coming off for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they keep him with the same song?
Is this other song really a babyface song?
I mean that it is for me because I sing my song, but this one doesn't scream babyface to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But there's a few like that, right? That
Yeah.
they stick with their song, and you think, that's a strange one. Either way, great week for the Bloodline, man. That storyline is just cooking. Can't wait to see that play out. And AEW TV is cooking too, man. We got a lot coming up this week that we will review next week when you join us here on ITR Clips Monday Night Live. Before we wind down, SB3, tell the fine people tuning in, where can they find you this week?
You can find me at True Heel SP3. You can also find me on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Earlier today, we did a review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Burning Spirit with Will Ospreay versus David Finlay for the U.S. title. So go over and check out that review. I'll also be on the channel tomorrow, actually, to review Monday Night Raw on Rated Raw Superstars with Romeo. So check out the True Heel Heat YouTube channel.
Closing point. You like Jericho's Ring of Honor champion?
I did not like it when it was happening in front of me, being there live at Dynamite Grand Slam. But I get it if this is leading to, them having their own television. You're going, or if they needed that last little push to get on television. If that's why they did it, and they're gonna help their negotiations by saying, "Hey, we got Chris Jericho as Ring of Honor World Champion," I totally get it and understand it. But I don't understand why you took the title off of Jonathan Gresham to put it on Claudio then. So it's one thing or another that I don't understand about this. But if you just set it in a vacuum, Chris Jericho as Ring of Honor champion, I would say, yeah, that makes sense if they're about to be on TV. Okay,
so you would have had Jericho take it off Gresham, and that would have been the same effect, you think?
Yes. I don't understand. That would have been more natural of a Ring of Honor guy versus an anti-Ring of Honor guy, which is kind of what they tried to give you the illusion of with Claudio and Jericho. But Claudio is so removed from his Ring of Honor run, despite being the champion. It did not feel like that. It would have felt more like that with Gresham, and you would have avoided another disgruntled person who wants to leave your company by keeping the title on Gresham. And to note,
would have been a big time matchup for Gresham too, by the way.
Exactly. And to note, they just announced on Tony Khan's Twitter that Chris Jericho is going to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship against Bandito this Wednesday on Dynamite. So Bandito making his AEW debut.
That's what reminded me to mention it. Not that I'm a bad host or anything. We do have a donation from Maddie the Hot Scott. He says, "Hey, Alex and Sid, how are you both? I'm good.
I'm good.
We're good. I've seen in an article earlier on today that said that Triple H wants to have 2 world titles at WrestleMania. So, can you fantasy book Triple H splitting the Universal title?" Oh man, I don't have time to do this, but we can both give you a brief summary, perhaps. I think you can't have a Royal Rumble winner and Reigns versus Rock. You can't, because it will just kill whatever the Rumble is, unless you have Roman work both nights,
which I think,
which they probably do.
Yes,
they probably do. Unless you do that, it doesn't work, because you need the Rumble person. It needs to have some credence, some credibility. I think Cody probably wins the Rumble. My opinion. He'll come back still very hot babyface. Yeah, I see that happening. It's a tough one, because you could do a variety of world title matchups that could be for both belts, but also Roman Reigns, the character, is more inclined to say no, they're my belts. So it would take an authority figure of some sort to make something to happen. Maybe Austin Theory, we all keep forgetting he's got the briefcase. Maybe he cashes in on one of them. Again, if you're him, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
All I've heard from people, fans that are upset about this raid, is stupid ways to get out of it. Why don't they do a ladder match where one person grabs one title, the other person grabs the other title, and then you split them? That's stupid. That's stupid. Nah, like we gotta let the people know we are here to listen to any ideas and opinions. but we will be honest if they don't make sense.
Yeah.
They sound stupid. That sounds stupid to me. I think the best solution that I've heard is the WrestleMania 20 to WrestleMania 2000 triple threat idea of do a triple threat for
Yeah,
one fall for one title, second fall for another title. At least the parameters of that will be like people will want to watch that match because they'll be like, oh, finally they're gonna see a new champion.
Yeah. My only issue with that is whatever type, and I've perpetuated that idea as well. Right, that's mine. If it was to happen, the problem is whatever title you put first looks less than the second. Like, do you know what I mean? The second fall.
They do something like a coin flip to
determine
the fall.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. You'd have to do something like that, because if you just said the first one's for the WWE title, then Universal kind of looks like, the first one doesn't matter that much. It's whoever gets the second one. I don't know.
But I don't know how they did the WrestleMania 2000 triple threat, but I remember the first fall was for the Intercontinental title, and that didn't lessen the Intercontinental title under the European title.
But I think that time they thought it was the powers of reverse. Everyone knew the Intercontinental title was the main title, right? So they just went, we'll have that one first to make the European look good, right? It's like the reverse of what we were talking about. Maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe we watch too much wrestling. Who knows? Either way, thank you very much for joining us here on Monday Night Live this week. Thoroughly enjoyed your company. Thank you, Matty the Hot Scott, for your super chat as well. And all of you that have been very active in the live chat. We love to see it every week. Make sure you join us again next week. We'll be at 8 p.m. next week. England won't be on to disappoint me. But we look forward to seeing you. Have some more interviews coming soon that I will clue you into. But until then, thank you very much for joining us here on Monday Night Live. Please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff, and we will speak to you later. Good night.